That's where call for the meeting then. Take Jesus off of the cross, I swear. Some smaddy in the workplace. The only thing them do is to send out enough call for make a meeting. Then 1 week down the line, them send out enough more. That's where the first call for the meeting. Sure. What kind of life that?
All right, hi. So I'm Cedar Lewison. I'm an artist, writer and curator. We're going to focus on my studio practice, which is really concerned a lot with drawing, making books, sometimes researching archives and collections, science fiction or speculative histories, and then doing that often from a very personal perspective as well. I use a lot of quite analog materials, so I'm doing a lot of printmaking, as I say, drawing. I work with bookbinders, so it's very analog, the approach to my work. So Patois Banton, essentially, Patois is a form of Jamaican kind of Creole language. It's a kind of local dialect and slang, which people in the UK will know a fair bit because there's a lot of slippage in the language, and so there's a lot of Patois that kind of creeps into UK speak. If you think of hip hop or reggae or roadman slang or whatever, lots of people in the UK kind of will have words of Patois in their dialect, but possibly not even realise it. So I was interested in that element of the language, and obviously the kind of the migration story of the language, you might say. And then Banton is a kind of Jamaican word for storyteller. So Patois Banton essentially just means, it's like Patois storyteller.
Every week coming like a month. Sometimes I 8 days in a week. Sometimes I work 9 days for a week. Time just a creep a galang. Time just a gallop fast. Sometimes minute come in like them take enough year. Some hour come in like them take all of your life.
I just started drawing all these kind of African figures that had been drawn by European artists initially. So it was like Hannah Hawk or Modigliani, or basically modernist artists who'd taken inspiration from kind of African imagery in the kind of modernist period. And I was going around these museums looking at these works. And then I'd also see some actual African figures like masks, whatever. So I started drawing those as well. Ethiopian masks or masks from West Africa, or figures from West Africa. But that's also what led to this kind of deeper research into museum collections, in particular in relation to kind of African imagery. So moving the work from the very analog, kind of hand carved, super basic, like primal, just like carving realm, to the kind of very slick, digital, smooth, screen-based world. I've been thinking about that for quite a while. And yeah, it just interested me, just the perversion of it really interested me. This just because I think one of the things I was thinking about is early animation. There's something really alive about those images, and they've kind of got an energy and a sense of movement and space or air or something. There's something about those animations that are hand drawn, which I think it is lost when animation gets digitized. Whenever that transition happens to purely digital animation, I personally feel that there was something is lost in translation there. And thinking about that, it made me think about virtual space and how there's never even been a kind of analog version of virtual space. Like a kind of, if you think about virtual space, it is kind of like an animation. It's like an AI animation. It just makes itself the whole time. So the idea of an analog element to that is non-existent. So for me, I was thinking, well, you know, why not try and make an internet that's analog, or a virtual space that's actually all hand-drawn? And what would that mean, and what would that do? And so I haven't really fully achieved that, but I've started the virtual space project that I've done. You know, it attempts to do a little bit of that. It mixes the virtual space with a lot of kind of these analog, hand-carved and hand-printed elements. So yeah, that's the idea behind that.